Hi everyone, my name is Emily Hargrove. I'm 22 years old. And for the past 8 years, I have been the financial backbone of an entire family that never once asked me how I was doing. I know how that sounds. I know people say that all the time on the internet. I do everything and nobody appreciates me. But I need you to hear this one. Because what happened when I stopped, it broke something inside me that I'm still trying to put back together. And honestly, if you've ever been the one person in your family who just handles it, the one who quietly pays, quietly fixes, quietly carries, you already know where this is going. But stay with me, because the ending? I didn't see it coming either. I grew up in a mid-sized city in Ohio. Middle-class family, nothing dramatic on the surface. My dad worked at a factory, my mom stayed home. I have 2 younger siblings, my brother Marcus, who's 27, and my sister Dana, who's 25. I was the oldest. And somehow, from the time I was 16, being the oldest meant being the responsible one, the one with the plan, the one who figured things out. I got a scholarship, put myself through college, got a decent job in supply chain logistics. By 23, I was making real money. Nothing crazy, but real. And that's when it started. It was small at first. My mom called one month saying the water bill was overdue, just $200. I sent it without thinking. Then it was Marcus's car payment. Then Dana's community college tuition because Dad's hours got cut. And every single time, my parents said the same thing. We'll pay you back, Emily. You know we're good for it. I never saw a single dollar back. Not once. In 8 years. But I kept telling myself it was family. You help family. That's what you do. By the time I was 26, I had a system. A literal calendar system. Every month I sat down and wrote out what I was sending home. Rent contribution for my parents, $800. Marcus's car insurance because he kept letting it lapse, $200. Dana's phone, $90. Utilities, $400. Groceries, $300. Random emergencies, another $500 to $700 most months. $3,500 a month, every single month. For 8 years. I want you to do that math with me. Because I did it one night, sitting alone in my apartment with a glass of wine, and I nearly choked. That's over $330,000. I had nothing saved. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with secondhand furniture. I drove a 2013 Civic, and every person in my family had a newer phone than me. What kept me locked in wasn't guilt. Not exactly. It was the way they talked to me when I did it. My mom would call after I sent money, and her whole voice would change. She'd say, "Emily, I don't know what we'd do without you. You're the strong one. God gave you that strength for a reason." And I believed her, every time. I believed her because I needed to believe someone saw what I was sacrificing. What I didn't see, what I couldn't see, was that they weren't grateful. They were dependent. And dependent people don't feel grateful. They just feel entitled to what they depend on. I found that out the hard way. 2 years ago, I got passed over for a promotion at work. It hit me harder than I expected. I came home that night and called my mom. I remember sitting on my kitchen floor, actually on the floor, and telling her I was struggling, that I felt invisible, that I was tired. She listened for about 4 minutes. Then she said, "Well, just make sure the rent money still comes through, okay? Your dad's back has been acting up again." I said, "Okay," and I sat there on that floor for another hour after we hung up. I didn't say anything, I didn't confront her, I just sat there, and something in me started going very, very quiet. Last October, I made a decision. I didn't quit, I didn't yell. I didn't send a message explaining myself, I just stopped. And I told them why in the calmest way I could. I called each person individually. My mom, my dad, Marcus, Dana, and my Aunt Carol, who I'd also been helping here and there. I told them all the same thing. I told them I had lost my job, that I was in a serious financial situation, that I wasn't going to be able to send money for a while, that I might need help myself. I sat back, and I waited. Before I tell you what happened, I need to ask, because I genuinely couldn't believe it myself. Does anyone in your life treat you the same way? Like you're a bank account with a heartbeat? Drop it in the comments because I know I'm not alone in this. Day 1. Nothing. Day 3. My mom texted, "Did you file for unemployment yet?" That was it. That was the whole message. Week 1. Marcus called. I actually got excited for a second. I answered. He said, "Hey, quick question. Are you still going to cover my insurance renewal? It's due in 2 weeks." I told him I had no income. He said, "Oh, dang. Okay," and hung up. Dana didn't reach out at all for 11 days. When she finally texted, it was a screenshot of a restaurant she wanted to try. No message, just a screenshot. Like nothing had happened. My dad called on day 14. First time he'd called me, not texted, called, in probably 8 months. I thought this was it. I thought he was checking on me. He asked if I had any cash I could spare for a car repair. Said it was urgent. I told him I was in crisis. He said, I thought maybe you had something set aside. I didn't sleep that night. Day 18. My cousin Derek, who I'd been helping off and on, covering maybe $60 to $70 a month toward his phone plan because my aunt asked me to, sent me a text. I still have it saved. It said, Hey Em, just wondering when you're gonna get back on your feet, because my phone bill is coming up and I usually count on that. No rush, just let me know the timeline lol. No rush. Just let me know the timeline. Like I was a payment processor with a temporary outage. I read that text 4 times. Then I put my phone face down on the table, and I cried. Not sad crying, something different. The kind of crying that comes out of you when something finally makes sense in the worst possible way. Nobody called to check if I was eating. Nobody asked if I needed help. Not one person in my family asked if I was okay. But Derek needed a timeline. I sat with it for 3 days. 3 days of silence. 3 days of watching the people I had spent 8 years protecting not notice I was drowning. Then I made a second decision. I didn't disappear. I didn't cut contact with a long dramatic message. I did something quieter and honestly more permanent. I got a financial advisor. I opened a high-yield savings account. I started mapping out what the next 5 years of my life looked like. With no outgoing transfers, no emergency funds for other people, no calendar system. Then I called my mom. The real call. I told her I was fine, that there was no job loss, that it had been a test, and I told her what I'd found. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Emily, that wasn't fair. And I said, no, Mom. 8 years wasn't fair. This was just honest. I didn't yell. I didn't list every dollar. I just said it. And then I told her that I loved her, but that I was done being the family's financial plan, that I would help in genuine emergencies, carefully, with limits, but that the monthly transfers were over. Forever, she cried. I let her. It's been 7 months since that call. Marcus got a second job. Dana applied for a state grant for school. My parents tightened their budget in ways they apparently could have done years ago. Nobody's homeless. Nobody starved. They adjusted because they had to. And me? For the first time since I was 23 years old, I have money in a savings account. I booked a trip. A real one. Just me. I sat in an airport lounge in February eating overpriced pasta, and I almost cried again, but the good kind this time, because I finally understood something I should have known much earlier. The people who truly love you do not need a financial crisis to call and check on you. They just call. And if they only show up when they need something from you, that's not love. That's logistics. I was never their daughter or their sister or their cousin. I was their plan. And the day I stopped being the plan, I finally started being myself.